So, hi guys, welcome back to Simandhar Education. So, we had an amazing interview with Surya a couple of days back, RCP alumni whom we placed in the US. And today we have another achievement. So, it feels really proud that at Simandhar we continuously keep having some great and fantastic students. So, today we have our US CMA alumni, which is Kshitij, right? And some interesting things about Kshitij, right? So he passed US CMA at the age of 18. This is an outstanding achievement, right? Having said that, US CMA is definitely one of the tougher qualifications when you compare to others because of the content which is tested in CMA. Mostly people are very much afraid of costing, financial planning, and analytics and all those stuff. So today, Kshitij have shown that this qualification can definitely be done. But then at the age of 18, I think this is really amazing, Kshitij. Congratulations, and Kshitij, all over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, it feels kind of surreal to be here with you because after I saw Kamneet's interview with you, since that day I've always dreamt of, I'll get to go live with you, talk with you, discuss the scope of CMA and how can young minds like me can actually put their minds to good use and instead of wasting hours doing something that's not going to be very productive at the end. So I'm really proud of myself. I'm really proud that I joined Samantha. Like this was my it was my first choice always. I never gave a second thought that okay, what will happen? Because it's not just me. My mom told me that Shripal sir is the one for you. I bet he's gonna make you pass CMS. So just go ahead with Samantha. So yeah, I'm really proud that I'm here talking to you today.
I mean, it really feels good, Kshitij, seeing the candidate passing, we placing them again and again and again and again. So it really feels good. But what makes a teacher proud or an organization or an institution proud is how the students take it very seriously at that age and outperform their peers.
Yeah,
So what was the strategy, Kshitij? Because we see so many people failing in USCMA, right? The pass
yeah.
percentage at global level for USCMA is somewhere around 20 to 25%. When we see in CPA, the pass percentage is somewhere at around 55 to 60%. But in USCMA,
Yeah.
it is so less. So how was it for you? What did you do differently to prepare for the USCMA exam?
So the first thing that I need to talk about is for success, you'll need self-confidence. And for having that self-confidence, you need preparation. So there are not many people who would, take that risk to put their time into preparation. And it's always very risky to be overconfident. I'm not saying you should be overconfident, but for success, you will need self-confidence. And for self-confidence, you need preparation. So what I did differently was I was determined that I have to do this because I knew from like within that at the age of 18, if I do this, there are gonna be people who will applaud me for it. And it's just that if you're passionate about something, it will come naturally to you. Like you have to work hard for it. And whatever Samandhar has helped me, it's like great. So I'd say definitely all the credits goes to Samandhar. It's my efforts that counts, but also how the faculty at Samandhar helped me throughout for like almost 8 months now.
Thank you, Kshitij. I know that you are humble enough to give the credit to Simandhar, but definitely there are tremendous efforts from the student when they pass the exam. So, Kshitij, coming to the question, and for the people who are watching us on YouTube, as they know, USCMA has two sections,
Yeah,
part
yeah,
one and part two, Kshitij. So, what
yeah.
was your strategy for these two parts, and which part you went off with? So, did you go with part one first, or did you go with part two first?
Okay, so I'm currently in the second year of my bachelor's. I'm pursuing bachelor's in international finance from Christ University. So during my first year, I had major modules from part one. So I chose to go with part one first. And I had that zeal for accounting. I knew that I'm going to do well in performance management. I was confident about planning, budgeting. So, but I was skeptical about cost accounting. I'm really scared from cost management because that was the thing that I ate Gitanjali ma'am's head. Still, I'll ask doubt 10 times. Still, I won't get the answer. How did we get those machine hours? So, what I mean is, uh, that was a bit difficult for me, part one. And then I chose to go for part two because, again, corporate finance, financial management, investment decisions, those are like my lifelines. I really like investment decisions. I really like to do financial management. So that's why I went for part two. And strategies, coming to strategies, more or less for both the parts, the strategies were same. I'll say that most of the students, what I have figured out from my fellow mates is that they won't attend the live classes, they would depend on the recordings. So as a result, they won't be in that zone to study. What I did was I made sure that at least for part one, I attended majority of the live classes so that because Gitanjali ma'am has a very busy schedule, even Amritsar for that matter. So if they are taking time out to teach us, I thought why not just be live with them and doubts would get clarified then and there. And then I just used to go back and revise from the study materials that Gitanjali ma'am provided. We had textbooks provided by Simandhar as well. So that really helped me and practicing daily. Then I followed your strategy that you have mentioned on the Excel on our LMS. So that really helped me in both the parts.
So Kshitij, I just want to
Yeah.
understand on part one, right? So there are a lot of sections where people struggle a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like in part one, you have external financial reporting, and also
Yeah.
did you also prepare your own notes as well, or how was it? Or did you refer just the study material of Becker and Simandhar, or did you even had your own notes for part one?
Yeah. I didn't make notes for all the modules, all the sections, but for some of it, because for most of it, I was content to and satisfied with the PPT provided by Gitanjali ma'am. So what I did was for cost management, for example, for performance management, I made like a mind map kind of a thing so that I could just glance at it and I'll remember everything that I needed to. And one good strategy that the faculty at Simandhar use is that they'll highlight everything when they teach. They'll stress on those points. So what I used to do was I used to make a Word document kind of a thing for the keywords. And then again, we used to be provided with like small key sheets, which will have some kind of shortcut formulas, all the important tips. So yeah, but I'll suggest that everybody should make their own notes because you can only study so much from somebody else's PPT, right? If you have your own notes, you'll have something always to revisit and relook at.
So Kshitij, as far as I know, because I'm not going to part two, in part one, they asked a lot of theoretical questions. I think you might have seen
Yeah,
that in the exam,
yeah,
they asked direct definitions also. So what was your strategy for technology and analytics and internal controls? Because those two, most of
yeah,
the students feel very dry and they don't feel like
yeah,
studying. So what was your strategy there? So would you
yeah.
study in the morning or study in the evening? That is first question. Second is how many hours of time you used to devote on a daily basis for this exam?
Okay, so for me, when I was doing part one, literally saying technology and analytics was the most difficult section for me because I hate technology as such. Like, I want to have my startup in blockchain, but I cannot, come in terms to technology and all the theory they had of SQL for that matter. But what I did was for particular sections, I would spend around 4 hours a day, which excluded the live classes timings and everything. Just going through maybe some parts of recording that I didn't understand in the live classes, or going through the notes, going through the PPTs. So what I feel is that even if you are not able to spend 4 hours every day, at least 3 hours you should spend or utilize your weekends. Like what I did was I chose not to binge watch Netflix on weekends, rather put those hours in, focusing on the study plan that you created, like because you have said that particular modules require so many hours. So I tried my best to stick to those. So I'd say on weekends, at least like till you are productive, you should study. I what my strategy was, I didn't stick to hours as such. I made a plan that I have to finish this. I'll finish it no matter how many hours it takes. Because if I stick to a time frame, I'll postpone that topic again and again and again. So I just decided that this has to be done now, then and there. I used to do it.
So Kshitij, one question, one more comes is now we have Simandhar and Becker material. I have seen a lot of the students in US CMA, they refer
Yeah,
Gleim, Wiley and
yeah,
all 1020 materials. So did you
yeah.
also had to refer anything outside Becker and Simandhar, or you sticked to the same two materials and you trusted them? How was it?
Yeah. So I went to CMA on a scholarship, so I got GLEM for free. That GLEM for 1 year, the traditional part of it. So for practice, I eventually switched between Becker and GLEM because what I found was for theory questions, GLEM was also good enough, and I would usually score good in Becker, but I won't score very well in GLEM. So just to test me, like after weekends, I used to try GLEM. Otherwise, for study materials, I think whatever Simandhar provides and Becker is more than enough. You don't need to diverge to too many materials because every material has its own way to convey the content. So a student might get confused with it. So it's better to stick to what you are teaching. That's all I'll say.
So part one requires, so how many number of hours you have spent for part one and how many numbers of hours you have spent for part two. So for the audience who are watching us, so USCMA consists, like I said, is of both parts, right? And you need to score a minimum of 360, right? So how did you plan around Kshitij? So part
Yeah.
one, how many hours you have devoted, and part two, and how many months you took for both the parts?
Yeah, I'm sure Shripal sir, you won't like it, but what I did for part two was it was just a rush for me. I started August mid or towards the end, and then I gave in my exam of October 6th. So I feel like for part two, I had to rush because firstly, I was of the mindset that 18 years it has to be done. I'm turning 19 in Jan next year, so I didn't want to do that. So for that, I did what Gitanjali ma'am says an aggressive strategy. I adopted that, okay, this many has have to study, do this, do this, do this. And I used to just text Gitanjali ma'am whenever I had any doubts. I used to text Amit sir whenever I had any doubts. We have our exemplary alumni like Gokul, everybody, Rahul. So they also used to help me whenever I needed. But for part one, I was really diligent. For that, I took around 3 months or approximately because I devoted 75% of the time to live classes and watched recordings for 25% of the course. So I'd say IMA tells you that you have to spend 150 hours minimum for each part. But I'd say if you spend around 220 to 40 hours, it should be good enough for you to, score good marks at the end.
So, how much did you score, Kshitij, in part one and part two? What were your scores in
Yeah,
part
I
one?
saw that coming. Again, you're gonna be disappointed, but for part one, I scored 400, but part two, I didn't score well. I scored 360.
Oh, you got the exact 360. So, Karan, I hope that
Yeah,
answers your question. We saw Karan putting the question in YouTube chat.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
he even asked me like on Telegram aspects. I was like, I'm
okay.
really embarrassed to share
Oh,
my scores now.
no, no. I mean, see, end of the day, pass is pass, right? And at
Yeah,
your age, that pass is too bigger a pass. Now,
yeah,
Kshitij, as you know, there's a CMA scholarship for the people who are watching us. So, Kshitij, I'll just take a minute
yeah,
and explain that. So, guys, you
yeah,
get a CMA scholarship if you're studying in a full-time college, doing a BCom or an MCom. You get a scholarship and you don't need to pay a penny for your USCMA exam. And Simandhar will guide you with that scholarship end to end. Everyone who are watching us on YouTube, for USCMA there is a scholarship. I repeat that again. So Kshitij have undergone that scholarship because Kshitij was, I mean, he's not, what do you say, he's from Christ. So he's already in a full-time BCom. So he was eligible for that scholarship and he didn't pay a penny to the IMA exam fees and anything of that. It's just the Simandhar training. That's all for Kshitij. Right. So the people who are watching it, please ensure that in case if you are working, in case if you're studying in a full-time college, and doing a full-time BCom. So BCom distance will not be counted, MCom distance will not be considered. Only if you are a full-time BCom student, you can avail this scholarship from IMA. That's a great opportunity for the people who are pursuing CMA and all, right? It's a great opportunity to avail that scholarship. Now, Kshitij, tell me about the IMA
yeah,
support package. So there is a support
yeah.
package given by IMA, how beneficial it is, and do you recommend the students to solve questions from the CMA support package which is shared by IMA?
Yeah, so what I encountered was for me sometimes Becker study practice questions were a bit difficult. I'd say I used to do them wrong even twice or thrice. So there will be some students who will lose that self confidence that they can do it. But the support package is designed in such a way that if you follow the study material given by Samandhar and Becker, you'll be able to answer most of them. So it's highly recommended that you finish the IMA support package as well. You don't have to ignore it. And for case studies, the essay questions, I'll say that for essays, the IMA support package is like really beneficial because when I gave my part one entire essay question came directly from that material. So I already knew all the answers. It won't happen very frequently, but they'll just twist the question for part one, and more or less it's really similar to what's given in the IMA support package for essays. So for essays, it's really beneficial.
Okay. So Kshitij, I think this is a this was my next follow-up question was how to prepare for essays. What is the strategy for
Yeah.
preparing essays? So guys, who all are watching again for USCMA, USCMA has 75% multiple choice question and 25% of the pattern is essays. So can you tell me, Kshitij, in part one, how many essays are asked in the exam, and in part two, how many essays were asked in your exam? And how many
Yes.
MCQs in part one and how many MCQs in part two?
Yeah. So as you said, there will be 100 MCQs in part one as well as part two, and there will be two essay questions in both the parts. The essay questions will be such that they'll give you a case. It will be a very simple case with simple wordings, and you'll have to analyze what they are asking, and there will be 6 to 7 multiple questions based on that case. So what I think is that conceptual clarity is the key here, because you cannot mug up everything possibly. You tend to forget at the end because you are all humans, right? So what I did was I made sure that I was conceptually clear about everything that I was studying, and that will really help everybody to answer those essay questions, because at the end they are like really similar to what is being taught in our life classes.
Okay. So Kshitij, on essays, any practical tips like so did you so you were just solving n number of essays, or did you also highlight some of the important points, or did you make notes for essays and all, or what is the strategy? Because normally when the
Yeah.
person sees an essays, it looks very big. So they get scared by seeing the essay itself. So did you try to split that into different parts? So what was the strategy for cracking essays?
Yeah, I'll say that there's an essay question sections provided in the IMS support package as well as on our LMS on Simandhar Education. So what I did was every essay that was given on the LMS at Simandhar Education, I solved them down. Like I properly solved them, thinking that it's a real examination. I took some efforts to improve my vocabulary. I took some efforts to write them in the precise format, and I'll say that if the cases are not that technical, they won't be that difficult. They can be at times. So what you can do is you can first go through the sub questions, the multiple questions that are asked based on that case, and then go to the case study. First, always read the questions. That what Gitanjali ma'am told me when I asked her how to crack those. So if you have the questions in mind, you'll tend to find the answers very quickly. So that's what I did. And obviously, you should solve them down, like write those answers, because when you do it in your mind, you'll always feel like you know everything, but when you really write them, it's really difficult to expand on what they are asking.
So Kshitij, how much time did you devote for MCQs and how much time did you devote for essays, and what is the duration for the CMA exam?
Yeah, so the duration is of 4 hours. You get 3 hours for 100 MCQs and 1 hour for essay question. So in case you finish your MCQs earlier, the time would be shifted to the essay questions. So for part one, I took approximately 2 hours and 10 minutes, because I found it like I could do it in that amount of time. And then I devoted like most of my time to essay questions, because at my time they were more theoretical. You had to expand on certain terms, you had to write well. And so for part one, I did 2 hours 10 minutes for this one, and all the remaining time I did it on essays. I did it very calmly with all the time that I had. I didn't rush
So great.
anything.
So I think the strategy was very simple: is to finish MCQs faster
Yeah.
so that you can
Yeah.
devote more time for essays, right? Because that
Yeah.
is the time which you need. So time management is very very important. And how
Yeah,
many
it's really
mock tests?
important.
How many mock tests did you solve, Kshitij?
Okay, so every mock test that Becker provided me, I did that. Every mock test that Glenn had. So in total, online, I did 4 mock tests before going for my real examination. And then we have 20 mock tests, which is provided by Simandhar. So I did approximately 11 to 12 of those before I attempted the real paper.
Superb. So, Kshitij, at your age, it is very easy
Yeah.
to get carried away, right? It is very easy to have
Yeah.
girlfriend, roam around in the road and all those stuff, right? And bunk colleges and all.
Yeah.
But I mean, there requires a tremendous energy and passion to move the other way around. So, at
Yeah.
your young age, I mean, hats off to that, that you're not diverted. And the passion, what I see, I mean, I recollect my days of CA. So at your age, when we used to go to coaching classes and all those stuff, attend the classes as well. Right. So that passion is very much prevalent in you, Kshitij, and I'm so proud But tell me
Thank you so
one
much.
tip for a person who's a BCom guy or who's a working professional. How should he be motivated like you? Because at your age, you could have diverted to any place, right? You could have gone to any other thing. You could have played around. You could have done whatever you wanted. But what made you
Yeah.
stick to this? What is that which is inspiring you and motivating you to this professional exams?
So I think that there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's like very subjective when it comes to answering this kind of questions, because there are many people who have different benchmarks in their lives that they want to attain this, they want to attain that. For me, it was like my mom's dream because she wanted to see me there being a CMA at 18. I know my mom's probably watching it on YouTube live and she's clapping now, but it's only because of my grandmoms and my mom's effort that I stick to it, because they used to call me every evening reminding that just remember what's your goal at the end. You can always enjoy after you are done with your career, because 18 to 25 is the age that you have to grind, grind, and grind. That's all. You have to dare, decide, do. You cannot go back now. Because if you waste these years, then it's just just gonna like beat your head around afterwards. So what's the point of doing that? So I came
Is
to my
your mom
senses.
with you, Kshitij, now? Is she there
No,
or how is it?
I'm in Bangalore. I'm pursuing bachelor. She
Okay.
is in Mumbai. She would have been
Okay.
really happy to talk to you. She really looks forward to meet you one day. I'll
Amazing. I
catch
mean,
up with you.
really proud. I mean, she would be very, very happy that she has a
Yeah,
son who is very focused and very passionate, right? Not diverted, because
yeah,
there are a lot of people who are still trying to find out meaning in their life. And it
yeah,
is, and at your age, you are able to find out the meaning of the life. That itself is a big success, Kshitij. So you started off with
yeah,
CMA. I think you were successful that time itself. But now that you
yeah,
have passed the exam at this age, I mean, you are super successful, and I know that you wanted to do CPA and FRM, and you have already
yeah,
started, what do you say, doing research on that. And I'm pretty much sure you will
yeah.
pass CPA also very soon.
Thank you so
And it's
much,
very
sir.
easy also for you with the determination what you have, right? With the focus what you have, and with the thinking what you possess, right? So like in your background, it is showing success is not final failure. Success is not
Yeah,
final, failure is not fatal. So I
yeah,
would say that it really resonate with what you're talking. So now I will leave it up to the Q&A with the students. So guys,
yeah.
please raise your hands if you have any questions to Kshitij, and we can take those questions. Any of the USCMA candidates, if you have any questions with respect to the USCMA. So Karan is asking, how much time did it take you to prepare for the part one?
Yeah, so I'll say it depends on how many hours you can devote. If you study for 3 to 4 hours daily and utilize your weekends productively, then it should not take more than 4 hours, I guess. 4 months, I guess. 4 months should be good enough for anybody.
Okay. So there are a lot of people congratulating you. So terrific
Thank you
achievement
so
and
much.
all those stuff. And definitely it is. So guys, please ask questions also. If you have any questions with respect to the USCMA course. Okay. So after USCMA, do you get any exemption? If you want to do UK CMA, so Tanush, so I'll take that up question. So UK CMA, you have certain papers, one or two, which are exempt, Tanush, but nothing else, right? Actually, because typically both are competition. UK CMA is more
Yeah,
respect towards UK. It's targeted towards UK and European market, and CMA is purely targeted towards US market, Tanush. So I would say both are different courses, both are competitors. So that's why you see that the exemptions are not much. Yes, but with US CMA, you have a good number of exemptions in ACCA. Right, so you have around 5 to 6 papers exempted from ACCA. With SEMA, I don't think so that exemptions are very high, Tanush, right? Because both are competitors, to be honest. Okay, yes. Others, any questions here? Ajay, Akshita, Ayush, Deepika, any questions? Please raise your hands with respect to USCMA course, USCMA registrations, USCMA. Okay, how much weightage of theory and practical is there in USCMA examination?
okay, so what when I was talking to my friends at Samandhar, it is different for every attempt. Like for some, it will be 60% theory, 40% practical. For some, it might be 55% practical and the rest theory. So it really depends on your luck what you get. But I'll tell you that most for me, I was really scared for practicals that I won't be able to do it considering the time limit. But practicals are really quick. It's the theory that will twist your head around, because if you're not like clear about the concepts, you won't be able to answer it because you'll feel every option is correct. Especially for ethics, guys, don't skip ethics. It's heavily tested in the exam. So don't just think that it's going to be easy. You'll be able to answer every MCQs. Professional ethics is something that you really need to work upon. The part two module I'm talking about.
And in part one, we have internal controls. So that is
Yeah,
one of the dangerous chapters,
yeah,
what I would say in part one, because that is more theoretical, and same goes for technology and analytics.
yeah,
And part two, there is professional ethics and risk management. I think these are the two theoretical stuff. So that's a good question which someone have asked, because I may test a lot on direct theory questions, and
yeah,
that's where you need to be pretty smart and strong on the theory concepts, I would say. Right. So if you are more conceptually sound, right, on the theoretical part, I think it becomes a little easy to crack that, right? So which part to be focused more in part one is the question.
Okay, so again, it depends on your expertise. For me, I already knew pretty much everything about planning, budgeting, and external financial reporting. So for me, cost management and performance management took some like real headaches, like long and tiring nights of trying to solve every question. So for me, it was cost management and variance analysis.
Okay, and what about part two?
Yeah, so for part two, I'd say that corporate finance will take you some time to do it. It's just lengthy, it's not really difficult. It's just that they have compiled too many concepts in 2, 3 pages. So try to break it down. That's all.
Okay, so how many MCQs you used to solve on a daily basis, Kshitij?
Yeah, so I didn't actually keep a count because, like I said, if I had to finish that module that Gitanjali ma'am finished, I used to solve every question that Becker had. And then you have some software where you can get additional questions, like enter, like, for example, I have to solve sometimes 25. Sometimes, if I'm really bored, I really want to study, I'm in that mode, I have to solve 50 questions a day.
So I think this is a very, very important point which Kshitij is highlighting, is a lot of the people watch lectures and then they go off. It is
Yeah.
very, very important to practice the software, because end of the day you pay for that software. So it's important you utilize the Becker software, practice that multiple choice questions and essays end to end. Don't leave a single mock test, don't leave a single MCQ, don't leave a single essay from the software, because software is very, very important. Just not about attending the classes, answering the questions and all, it's also about practicing it from the question bank. So that is something which you guys need to ensure, because many of them don't have that habit. They think, "Arey, acha, maine classes kar liye." So
Yeah.
international exams don't work like that, guys. You need to ensure that you practice on the software also, and see to it that you are actually trying to see. Okay. So next question is, what is the level of practical questions in examination, as in, like, is it similar to the study material what is being asked, or is it different?
Okay, so what I understood was for in part one, the performance management and cost management could be one notch up than what you solve in Becker. They'll just twist the questions. It's nothing that you don't know. They'll try to play with words. So try to remember every concept. That's why I'm saying if you solve every MCQ twice or thrice, you'll just get it what to do. So for me, like the practical questions were kind of difficult only for performance management and cost management. Otherwise, all other modules are very similar. I'll say 90% similar to what we solve in the study materials.
And how about part two, Kshitij?
Yeah, for part two, I'd say again in corporate finance, the question would be one notch higher. And for calculating NPV, for example, so in investment decisions as well, it won't be as easy as you see in the study material. So you really need to get your concepts right.
So, guys, I hope you get this. So part one, the important or the tougher topics are cost management and performance management. In part two, the tougher topics and the topics which needs your higher attention, right, are investment decisions and corporate finance. So, another question is, how many times you have done the revision? How many revision are required for part one and part two?
For me personally, part one only required revision twice, I'd say, because I'm already pursuing a degree which was similar to part one. But for part two, I think that no matter how much you solve, I was still stuck at some or the other questions that I faced in mocks. So I'd say that at least revise 3 or 4 times or whatever Shripal sir has advised in his own study plan. That will do you good.
Okay. So is there any negative marking? So normally there is no negative marking in the USCMA exam, so don't need to worry.
Yeah.
So I just clarified that. Is Becker MCQs enough, or should I practice from any other additional MCQs also, is what Akshita's question is.
Yeah, so Akshita, hi, first of all, I would say that if you are doing like focusing on Becker study material and if you are doing the IMS study course package, it's gonna be enough for you. You don't need to diverse to other materials because every material will test your knowledge differently. And at the end, you can get confused and you will get scared that I don't know this answer, I don't know that answer. So I'd say stick to Becker and whatever questions that Pitanjali ma'am or Amit sir are providing to you.
Correct. So we have already posted, Akshita, even our additional MCQs also in our new LMS, right? So if you practice that MCQs that are more than sufficient, I don't think so that you need to actually refer any other thing. But yes, IMS support package is very, very important. So that so normally IMS support package is given once you pay the exam fees. Before that, you don't
Yeah.
get that support package. So please ensure that, guys, you take that into the account. Okay. So what a clarity he has when he speaks at his age about USCMA. I'm sure Mr. Sripal need to buy something to iPad itself to save the increasing cost at a later stage if this guy want to pursue CPA at Simandhar. So thank you, Shriram. I
Yeah.
think definitely you will get that iPad. I'm pretty much sure in the CPA. So there is
I'll
no doubt
definitely
about it.
get. I'll definitely get. Alija said what says about like that's my aim now. That's my
So guys,
destination.
just to let you know, Kshitij was the first person from our CMA batch who contacted me when Kavneet, our CP alumni, got the Elijah Watsels Award. So guys, Elijah Watsels Award, for the people who are watching us, is the person who gets 95.5 out of 100 in across all the 4 sections as aggregate. So we got, so Kavneet got that last year, and this year we got 2 people, right? One was Trishla and one was Dhruv. So last year when Kavneet got that award, Kshitij actually messaged me that, sir, I am definitely looking forward for it. And he asked me Kavneet number. So I sent him that number. And I'm sure, Kshitij,
Yeah.
you might have spoken to Kavneet as well.
Yeah. And I'll just like to inform you that I was talking about. So Simandhar is not just about teaching. Okay, I have been to certain campuses of EY, and even the global tax leaders like Ashu Rathore know Shripal sir personally. They know the kind of students that are brewed in Simandhar education. So I'd say that don't just stop after thanking sir. He's really doing a lot for us because they didn't talk to me before, but as soon as I mentioned that I'm a Shripalsa student, they were like, "Oh, you are Shripalsa student. Welcome. Please come to our campus." And yeah, and when I won EY's Young Tax, I came into top 5 of EY's Young Tax Professional of the Year. I told you sir about it. So Kamneet really helped me go through the competition, and even Shripal sir was up for providing me contact. So it's just that it's a place where you'll make good friends. It's not just about studying.
So guys, just to let you know, Kshitij was also the EY Young Tax Professional of the Year. And that's why
I
he's
was in
getting
the
that.
top 5, sir. I was only in the top 5.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
what. So he was in the top 5. So that's how he knows, because we are working with EY. So we work with almost top 20 CPA firms, folks who all are watching us, and that's the reason we are able to place so many of them. Anyways, so one another question which have come, Kshitij, is what is the level of essay type question, and what's the weightage of theory and practical in essay type questions?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I'd say that for part one, let's talk about part one first. Part one essay questions will be of easy to medium level. They won't be that difficult. At least what I solved in my real examinations, they were quite straightforward and very similar to what I had solved from Simandhar LMS. And if suppose there are 7 sub questions, at least I'm talking about minimum 2 will be practical. Yeah, and rest can be theory. But they try to play with it like 4 is to 2 or 2 is to 4. It depends
So
on the
that is
questions.
theory more in essays. That's
Yeah,
what you mean to say.
yeah,
So
yeah,
guys, that's a very interesting point which Kshitij has spoken about. Is in the essay you will get theory more than the practical, but then again this cannot be
yeah,
always. So he is not here to make a statement on behalf of IMA. So let's please ensure that you guys are aware about that. Right. So just don't think, acha, Kshitij ne bola hai, so that's how it is.
hmm,
It will not be. But what he's telling as per
yeah.
his experience is what he's sharing. So, how did you prepare for part two essays? Any strategies which needs to be followed for part two essays?
Yeah, so what I'd say is that part two for me required a bit of research. Like people might think that FCPA is not important, but I really got a case study which was based on FCPA only. So if you just skip FCPA entirely, you won't be able to answer that question. If you don't know what a bribe is, you cannot answer that question. So my strategy is try to read between the lines. Don't even skip a paragraph if you think it's not important. Everything is important. Go through each and every line. Even if you read it twice, you'll tend to remember it. Like even like few words, so just you can write it down. So for part two, you cannot skip anything because they'll just ask anything out of blue.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So, which one did you find difficult while writing the exam? Is it MCQs or is it essays?
Yeah, so for part one, I would say that both were mediocre for me. Nothing was easy, nothing was difficult. But in part two, my essays were easy, but my MCQs were really tough. Like that's what I personally feel. For me, in part two, MCQs were a bit difficult. But I'm sure if you guys, if you study according to the plan and listen to Amit sir, Gitanjali ma'am, Akshay sir, then you'll probably do really well.
Cool. So guys, please note that. So it's very important to. These are good questions which the people are asking, right? Because these are something which goes into detail and all, right? So yes. Okay. So any other questions, guys? So I think we have made Kshitij to wait a lot, right? So okay, I think that's all we had from our last 30 minutes conversation, Kshitij. It was great
Yeah,
having you here. And guys, you can
likewise.
connect Kshitij on LinkedIn. He has a very good active LinkedIn account. A great, Kshitij, your mom should be extremely proud because you're an amazing son. I mean,
Thank you
I
so
would
much,
definitely
sir.
want my son to be like you, Kshitij, because the way the
Ah,
clarity you have at this age, it's outstanding, actually, I would say. And I've just forwarded your LinkedIn post to Biju Thomas, who's the HOD of
yeah,
Christ University. So he was also very proud and happy with your efforts. And
yeah,
definitely, once you finish your graduation, please do let me know. As you know, Samandhar is very strong with their placements. So
yeah, definitely,
anytime,
sir.
whatever we can do in India or in US, definitely you
Yeah,
know whom to reach out for,
thank
Kshitij,
you so much. Yes,
right?
sir,
So
definitely.
thank you so much, Kshitij, for giving your
Thank you
time.
so
Thank you,
much, sir.
everyone. I hope that you like this session, and please do ensure that follow us on LinkedIn in case if you have any questions. We have a valid Simandhar Education page on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Please do subscribe and share our video. Thank you so much, Kshitij. Thank you, everyone. Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
so much, sir. Bye bye.